Fight Club, directed by David Fincher, is one of the most misunderstood films of modern cinema precisely because it refuses to flatter its audience. Frequently reduced to a celebration of violence, masculinity, or rebellion, the film is in fact a psychological critique of identity in a consumer-driven world. Its lasting power comes from its willingness to expose an uncomfortable truth. When people lack meaning, they will accept almost any substitute, even one that ultimately erases them. Rather than offering catharsis or heroism, the film confronts viewers with the consequences of mistaking intensity for purpose and ideology for selfhood. The film follows an unnamed narrator whose life appears stable and successful by conventional standards. He has a respectable corporate job, a carefully curated apartment, and a steady routine. Yet he is consumed by insomnia, a symptom that reflects not stress but spiritual dislocation. He is not overworked, he is underalive. His fixation on furniture catalogs and brand names reveals a life built entirely from external validation, most explicitly visualized through the film's famous IKEA sequence where objects float around his apartment labeled with prices and product names. Objects have replaced values, and consumption has become identity. The narrator's body rebels against this hollow existence, manifesting its rejection through sleeplessness and numbness, suggesting that his psyche can no longer reconcile the gap between who he is and who he has been told to be. Tyler Durden enters the story not as a savior, but as a psychological counterweight. He embodies everything the narrator represses: physicality, confidence, aggression, and disregard for social approval. Tyler is charismatic because he represents a fantasy of liberation from modern emasculation, offering certainty and intensity where the narrator experiences paralysis and doubt. Yet the film is careful never to present him as an ideal. He is not a solution, he is a reaction. Tyler exists because the narrator's life has become so constrained that only an extreme opposite feels like freedom, and his seductive philosophy works precisely because it simplifies complexity into absolutes. The formation of Fight Club itself is not about violence for its own sake, it's about sensation. In a world where pain is sanitized and life is mediated through screens and routines, physical damage becomes proof of reality. The men who gather in basements to fight are not seeking dominance, they are seeking grounding, something undeniable and immediate in contrast to their abstract bureaucratic lives. Blood, bruises, and exhaustion reconnect them to their bodies and to one another in a way that their professional lives never could. However, the film subtly shows that this awakening is incomplete. The men are not becoming individuals. They are exchanging one form of conformity for another, following rules, rituals, and hierarchies that mirror the very systems they believe they are escaping. This tension becomes explicit in the rise of Project Mayhem. What begins as an anti-consumerist philosophy transforms into a rigid hierarchy demanding obedience, anonymity, and sacrifice. Names are stripped away, individual thought is discouraged. Tyler's rejection of consumer branding ironically gives birth to a new brand, complete with uniform slogans and rituals, turning rebellion into spectacle and discipline. The film's critique sharpens here. Even rebellion can become another product when people seek meaning without self-awareness. Project Mayhem exposes how easily the desire for freedom can be manipulated into submission, replacing corporate authority with cult authority while preserving the same demand for obedience. The revelation that Tyler Durden is a manifestation of the narrator's fractured psyche reframes the entire film. Tyler is not an external antagonist, but an internal extreme born from years of repression and self-denial. His earlier subliminal appearances and the narrator's recurring blackouts reinforce the idea that Tyler has always been present, waiting for permission to take control. The narrator's real conflict is not with society alone, but with his own inability to integrate opposing aspects of himself. His attempts to destroy Tyler in the final act is not a rejection of strength or rebellion, but a rejection of absolutism. He recognizes that surrendering entirely to chaos is as dehumanizing as surrendering to consumerist routine. The film's conclusion resists easy interpretation. The collapsing financial buildings do not represent victory so much as uncertainty, underscored by the absence of triumph or explanation. The narrator has not solved the problem of meaning. He has merely refused the false solutions offered to him. By holding hands with Marla, he acknowledges connection without domination and presence without ideology. It is a quiet moment that contrasts sharply with the destruction on screen, suggesting that personal integration, not societal collapse, is the true work left undone. Fight Club endures because it articulates a crisis that has only intensified since its release. In an age where identity is increasingly commodified and curated, the temptation to define oneself through consumption, ideology, or spectacle remains strong. The film does not offer answers, but it does offer a warning. When meaning is outsourced, people will cling to anything that promises intensity, even if it costs them their individuality.